Hello everyone and welcome back to Chapter 3 for the ICC course. In today's class we're going to see something regarding the cultural differences. At the beginning, there are 4 dimensions that explain how and why cultures differ from each other. We will see how can we say that this culture is different from that culture, and the culture of this country is almost different from this country. And by the end, we will see how the whole region is different from another region. Like when we are talking about the Arabian region, how it is different from the European region or the American region, and so on. To differentiate between cultures, we have 4 dimensions. The first one is called power distance, then the uncertainty avoidance. Then we have to see what is collectivism versus individualism regarding the differences between cultures. And the last point or the last dimension is femininity versus masculinity. So the first difference or dimension in which cultures are different from each other is called the power distance. Regarding the name, we have two words. The first is power and the second is distance. So once we say power, we mean by the authority and positions that some people have in their jobs. And once we say distance, it means that there is a good space or a big space sometimes between the authority and the people, or the manager and the employers, or the teacher and the students. So we have a distance between anyone who has a position or who has a power and the one that he governs, or the ones that they governs. And this could apply الحديث النبوي الشريف كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. So we have to say something about الراعي and we have to say something about رعيته, whatever the رعية or the راعي refer to. So let's going to see these details. At the beginning, this dimension looks at how cultures vary based on the differences between people are based on status and their access to power. So I can say that this man is better than this man because he has a power. He is, for example, he is a manager, he is a team leader, he has, for example, a good certification so that he is an engineer. So because of that, he is much better than any other employer in this community or in this society. So the differences between people will be based on their access to power. So the more power that you have, the better you are going to be. The second point is that it reflects, the power distance, it reflects the degree to which people in a culture believe that power should be stratified, unequally shared, and concentrated at the higher levels of institution, organization, or government. Once we are differentiating between cultures or societies regarding the power distance, we mean by that the people are not equal in the opportunities to reach the power or to reach the high positions. But this will happen because of some hierarchical, as it will be seen here in the third point. That is, it asks how much a culture values hierarchical relationships and respects authority. Actually, we are talking about how the manager reaches the high position rather than that employer or that employer. It has to do sometimes with hierarchical relationships. So my son must be the manager after me. My son must be the minister after me, and so on. This has to do actually, again, with the social relationships, or in other words, what is called in some societies as al-wasta. So once we are talking about al-wasta, it means that unequally, okay, we're talking about unequally, let's say, opportunities, or the opportunities will be spread unequally between people. So these are the basics of the power distance. I mean the dimension that we differentiate people regarding to. Now, once we say power distance, we have two types of countries or two types of societies. The first one is called low power distance, and the second one is called high power distance. So once we say low power distance, it means that this dimension, this bad dimension, is found with a little percent. And this is a credit to that society or to that, let's say, to that community. So it means that they have equal opportunities to the whole people. We don't go through the idea that this is a manager, so I don't have the chance to reach him. I don't have the chance to talk with him. I don't have the chance to tell him my problem. This is not found in these countries. So once we say low power distance, we mean by to believe that people should interact with each other on a level playing field, equal in opportunities. So the manager is equal to their employers. The teacher is equal to their students. These societies value the equality more than the hierarchy. So all of them are equal in getting the positions and the opportunities. So the opportunity tells you that, for example, if you have the certificate 1, 2, 3, or the experiences, so you are going to reach that position or to get that job. So no wasta, there will be no wasta in getting this job, and this is number one. And number two, I have a good opportunity to reach the manager and to talk to him to any or by any topic that I need him to know. I give you an example here, which is the developed countries, actually, or دول العالم المتقدم. All of them have low power distance, and so they are, or they have good, let's say, good value for their cultures. The second type of the societies regarding the power distance is called high power distance. It means that this dimension, the power distance, is highly applied in these societies. So the distance between the managers and the employers are high or are big. And actually, this is not a credit for these societies. It seems that this is a bad character or characteristic for these societies. So once we say high power distance countries, what we mean by to accept status differences and to treat people according to their social standing. So since this is a manager, I have to respect him. But if he is an employer, so it's fine if I don't respect him enough. This is a teacher. I have to teach or I have to treat with him in a different way from some other employers. This is my team leader. So this is so I have to treat him not because he is a human being or not because he is a good man, but because of his position. So I am treating the people because of their positions or because of their social status or because of their money sometimes. If he is rich, so I will respect him. If he is poor, so I will not respect him, and so on. Actually, this is applied or this is found in most of the developing countries, or they are called الدول النامية. So by the end, we can say that in low power distance, I am dealing the people based on their humanity. So since he is a human being, I have to respect him. Since he has some needs, I have to satisfy him if I have the authority. But in high power distance countries, I treat with the people based on their social or political or economical status. So if he is a rich man, I have to treat him in a respectful way. If he is a manager, I have to respect him. But after leaving this job, it's fine if I don't respect them. We have some exercises here. It's good to think about them. Suppose that we want to compare between two companies, one in a developing country like Egypt, and the other is in a developed country like Japan. So in Egypt, Egypt is a developing country. It is one of الدول النامية in the world with high power distance. Since it is one of the دول النامية or developing country, so it will have high power distance. So the following characteristics will appear in this company. At the beginning, those in authority demonstrate their rank. There will be ranks for employers, and each rank must be respectful because of their positions. Something else, subordinators are not given important work and accept directions from above. All employers, they don't make decisions, even if the decision is perfect and let's say gives a good value for the company, but since they are not managers, they are not with the high or top management, let's say, level, so they are not allowed to be given important works. They will be given just directions, so you have to do this, you have to do that, so subordinators will not get their chances. Subordinators as well are expected to take the blame for things that go wrong. So if they don't make their jobs in a good way, they will be blamed, and sometimes they will be, for example, they will be fined. They will pay for like a fine or something like that. The relationship between the boss and the subordinate or the subordinators is rarely close or not personal. Actually, there will be no contact in most cases in such countries between the manager and the subordinators or the manager and the employers. That's why there will be high distance or a very long distance between them, so that they will not understand each other in a good way and they will not share good ideas or good experiences between them. So sometimes we can find that the boss is with no experience, but because of his wasta, he reaches the top management. Besides, one of the subordinator or one of the employer is with a high and excellent experience, but because they don't contact with each other and they don't share the ideas with each other, so that many problems appear in such countries. Political rules are typically totalitarian. This is applied, let's say, in such countries like Egypt, and class division within society are accepted. We can find classes inside these companies and inside these societies. So this is with high class, low class, middle class, and so on. Or the middle class is not found actually. It could appear with only high class and low class. Let's go ahead now to see the same company, but in Japan, which is a developed country. It is one of دول العالم متقدم with low power distance. Let's see what do we have. So at the beginning, superiors treat subordinates with respect and don't pull rank. Actually, there will be a respectful relationship between the boss and the employers. Number two, subordinates are entrusted with important assignments, not because this is an employer, so he has no chance to make a decision or important tasks. So no, you will be given a chance once you have good experience, for example. Blame is either shared or accepted by superiors. Even if the managers do something bad or a mistake, they will be blamed and they will have to pay some fines, the same as the subordinators. So all of them, I mean, the top management and the leaders and the managers and the employers, all of them will get the same blame if they have something in mistake. Managers may often socialize with the subordinators, good social relationships. And by the end, we have all of them will be equal. Okay, there is an exercise. You can do it by yourself. You have to make a scenario between a manager and the employee, showing that the company is with a low power distance or with a high power distance, and how al-wasta expresses low power distance. You have to give an example. Now let's move to the second dimension, where we can differentiate between the cultures. It is called the uncertainty avoidance. Between brackets, I've said go through the safe side. In Arabic, once we say al-ijra'at al-ihtiraziyya, so once we take إجراءات احترازية just to avoid any problem or to avoid any catastrophe or any big or huge catastrophe that we will have regarding the society, regarding the infrastructure. So it means that we are with a strong building regarding the whole columns of the society. So this dimension indicates at how cultures try to avoid the uncertainty by depending on social norms, rules, rituals, and democratic practices to save the unpredictability of future events. You can go through this word like many times. So anything that is unpredictable will not be welcome for those societies or regarding this dimension. I have to make the whole tools, the whole columns with a good system, with a good appearance, so that no problem will happen. This is the meaning of uncertainty avoidance. Now, based on this dimension, we will get two types of societies. The first is called high uncertainty avoidance, and the second is called low uncertainty avoidance. Before going through the discussion for these two types of societies, I'll tell you something that is high uncertainty avoidance. It means that all al-ijra'at al-ihtiraziyya are taken by these countries are with a good level. And in most cases, we have the developed countries or الدول النامية are with this dimension. Like when we talk about Japan, United States, many European countries, they have high uncertainty avoidance. So they make many steps in order to avoid the problem regarding rain, for example, or in order to avoid any problem regarding the infrastructure. So the streets are built with a good way, for example. They have good amount of trees in order to solve any problem regarding the temperature or any problem regarding the environment, and so on. And you can apply this to every single part of these societies. Once we are talking about universities, schools, supermarkets, and so on. Let's see what do we have here. So with the societies that have high uncertainty avoidance, and actually this is a good credit for those countries. In these societies, cultures tend to see uncertainty about the future and people's freedom to make choices about their future as threatening and stressful. So they try to avoid anything that threat their life or make them stressed. They seek ways to reduce such threats. The following characteristics describe such cultures. Okay, now the characteristics of these communities: high value on maintaining stability and saving their traditions. Actually, they save their traditions, and because they want to save their traditions or save their history or save their life, so they make anything just to avoid anything unpredictable. Change is disturbing. So what we mean by disturbing is bothering. It's something that is not welcome. So anything change is disturbing the rhythm, pace, the meaning of life, so that people prefer to do things they used to do as a routine more than taking risk. You can apply this once you have transportation or once you have a bus just to reach your university. I'll tell you a case or a situation, and then you can understand this point. Suppose that you live in an area where the bus comes at 7 a.m. daily. So once you go out from your home, you have to walk just for 5 minutes, and at 7 a.m., the bus will leave. Now, if this happens as a routine, so you will be with a relaxed mood. This routine gives you a relaxed mood because you don't have to think a lot or to think deeply about how to go to your university or when to leave your home or how to reach the bus. And the other case is that you live in a house and you have to leave your house every day early, but you don't know what is the meaning of early because the bus sometimes leave the station at 7 a.m. Sometimes it leaves the station at 7:30. Sometimes it leaves at 7:15 or quarter to 7 and so on. So it does not have an exact time just to leave the station. So you'll be confused this time because every day you will have a new situation, and this new situation will get you in a depressed mood. You will not be or a confused mood because you will not be routinic in your living for your house. So think about these ones. The first situation, once the bus leaves at the same time every day, actually the country there or the system of transportation has high uncertainty avoidance. So they have a good system in order to avoid any problem regarding the students. Now, the second situation regarding this is with low uncertainty avoidance. They don't have exact system for the bus to leave, so that you will be not in a routine, but in a depressed or a bad situation, because every day you will think deeply about what will happen to you because you don't know when the bus is going to leave. Okay, the third point regarding these countries is that the culture is rule-oriented, following well-defined laws or social norms that govern the social, religious, and legal requirements. So everything is well planned out to eliminate uncertainty about futures events. Actually, they have good rules, they have good laws, and they have good norms or values, and all of them are following these rules. They don't go برات السطر. All of them are going with the plans, with well planned. Because of that, they don't have problems or social problems like some other countries have. Now, a very good example regarding the high uncertainty avoidance, we can talk about Japan. And some of us will name Japan as كوكب اليابان, maybe because they have well-planned rules, laws, well-defined laws, and all of them have good plans and good routine regarding the social life and the daily life with transportation, supermarkets, and so on. Because of that, less problems will happen regarding any of these sections that we talk about than other countries like Egypt. Now, the second type of societies which have regarding the uncertainty avoidance is called the low uncertainty avoidance. Actually, this kind of societies are found in developing countries like Egypt, Syria, some African countries beside. The people of these culture tend to see that changes and risk will learn them the facts of line. And this is applied in Arabic language once we say كل واحد بيتعلم من كيسه. It means that every day we have risks, every day we have changes. And these changes, we think that they are useful because we learn from them. But sometimes the time will not help us to think this way. The learning is late, actually. It comes after being engaged into many problems. Actually, we can learn. Yeah, it is right. We learn from our experiences, but the time is late, actually, because the problem happens. And الكارثة قد حلت. Well, after this, we can learn. So we have to avoid this catastrophe in order not to go through these problems. They are less rule structured, of course. They will not have good rule, no well-defined laws or plans or routine. They will have less routine. Think about once you leave your home to reach the bus station and you don't know at what time exactly the bus will leave. Is it at 7 or 7 and 5? And this will make you confused or depressed. They are more flexible and tolerant of different behaviors and opinions. The most sane words that we have in Arabic language or in some countries that have low uncertainty avoidance, because they are flexible, more flexible and tolerant, when we say مشيها بس هالمرة or خلاص بندبرها. This means that we don't have well-defined laws. So the laws or the rules or the plans will not apply with a good structure, but we can break these rules and break these laws because we want to نمشيها بس هالمرة or something like that. Okay, I'll let you have an exercise. Explain what happened in the following pictures based on uncertainty avoidance dimensions. Think about those pictures. Now, what about this one? This picture is taken from one of the Arabian countries after rain, and because of the low uncertainty avoidance, the streets are full of water and many cars go in a catastrophe or in a problem. Whereas you can compare it to this one, which is taken from one of the Asian countries. I think it is from Japan, where rain is a good chance to have good moments. So the high amount of rain will not cause a problem for them because of their strong infrastructure. So the البنية التحتية for Japan is much better than in this country, in this picture, because of that rain here in this country is a problem, whereas in this country it is موسم الخير. Okay, now the second one, we have, this is a picture for the vaccine and it is for COVID-19 and this is for online exams only. Actually, this is one of الإجراءات الاحترازية that are taken for or by some countries in the world in 2020. And actually, this is a good, there were good tools or plans taken by these countries in order not to go in a catastrophe or with big amount of diseases that many people will get. So we get online exams or online learning, and we have vaccines, and we have many other إجراءات احترازية. And like this one. And we have social distance like this one. Okay. So all of these pictures can show you how the high uncertainty avoidance and how low uncertainty avoidance are different from each other. So in brief, we can say high uncertainty avoidance are good countries, excellent countries, because they have a good map to go through, whereas the low uncertainty avoidance are bad countries, let's say, or are ranked with low ranks or evaluated in a bad way because they don't have enough, let's say, enough rules or enough plans to go through. So let's move now to the third dimension to differentiate between cultures or societies, which is called the collectivism versus individualism. Actually, once we say individualism, what we mean by is the individual or al-fard, and once we say collectivism, we mean by the community or the group of people or al-jama'a. So it means once we differentiate between countries regarding collectivism and individualism, we mean by to which degree people express pride, loyalty, and cohesiveness in their families, tribes, and societies. So, am I belonging to my tribe? Am I belonging to my family? Am I in a good relation with my tribe and family? And I see them as being the best, or better than the other tribes, or better than the other families. I have to think in this way. In addition, it explains how belonging a person to a specific group affects his own life and how it affects their decisions. So suppose that I am from X and Y tribe. So does this affect my own life or my private life and my decisions? So I don't have to do this because of my tribe. I have to do that because of my tribe. You have to think in this way. The type of a work sometimes someone chooses must satisfy his family and his prestige in the society. I'll give you some examples before going through the details regarding collectivism and individualism. So once we say, for example, suppose that you have a certificate, a good certificate like master's degree or PhD degree, but now you can work because you need money and you need work. So you have a job, but it does not satisfy your certifications. So you go to, for example, to work with a gas station, okay, or you go to work with a bakery, or you go to work freelancer, you cook something and you buy them online. So some people will say شغل مش عيب, okay, and they trust themselves, trust their efforts. And some people say, no, I will not work with that job because it is shameful. أنا عيب إني أشتغل بهذا الشغل لأنه ما بيناسب وضع عائلتي بالمجتمع. And this is actually has to do with the prestige of those countries. So this is just an example to differentiate between those people who are belonging to their families or tribes and those who don't belong to them, and how they affect this relation, how it affects their relationships or their personal life. Let's go ahead to see some details. So based on this dimension, societies are with two types. The first type is called low in individualism and high in collectivism. And this is actually applied in many Arabian countries, especially the Arabian countries, or any country that or its base is the tribes. In these groups, people make the major life decisions in conciliation with their families and friends. They have to get an approval from his family to choose who will marry. So once we say that low in individualism, so think about any man who wants to get married. So he must get an approval from his mom, from his sisters, from his uncles, from his aunts about the bride that he chooses. Why? Because we have the characteristics of low in individualism. Okay, so his personality is not so important in front of the personality of the whole family. So high in collectivism. Okay, so something else, children are taught to depend on others. So we have less self-reliance. And actually this is applied in many Arabian societies. That is, because he is a child, okay, so he can't do this or he can't do that. Actually, we don't try to, or we don't give him the chance just to try and to evaluate then if he can or he can't. But we decide, the adult people or the family, we decide that this child can't do that. He has no ability to do that. And so once he grows up, he grows up with less self-reliance. If you do something wrong, you feel ashamed and are concerned about how this reflects on your entire group. Actually, if you do something wrong or if you do any mistake, you will blame yourself because it affects your whole family or your tribe, not because it is wrong because of your God. Yes. So we have an example, they get ashamed of each other more than God. Sometimes we find some people or some girls, they wear al-hijab al-Islami, not because of God, but because it is shameful, or عيب البنت ما تلبس حجاب. This is because of her tribe or her society or of her family. And you can apply this to many other things. I don't have to, for example, I don't have to work in a gas station because it is shameful for my family. I don't have to have a freelancer as a woman. I don't have to have a freelancer project because of my family. They will say ناقص عليها مصاري يا حرام وبدها تشتغل. Okay, so any decision that I take in my life will affect my family, and I will blame myself because إني سببت الفضيحة for all my family or for all my tribe. So this society is described as low in individualism. So my personality is not treated in a good way, but what is important is the collectivism. What is important is the whole family. I have to get an approval for any decision that I take, and I have to think about my group or my family once I do anything regarding myself. And actually, this is sometimes it's good, but sometimes in most cases it is bad. It is bad, or it is not a credit for these people. You can apply this once we think about if a girl wants to study abroad. So you will not go abroad because it's shameful. Or we hear some statements like ما عندنا بنات تشتغل، ما عندنا بنات تطلع برا عشان تدرس، ما عندنا بنات تتزوج من برا العائلة, and so on. The second society, or the second type, is called, or it has the characteristics of that high in individualism and low in collectivism. And this is actually found in many other countries, in Europe, in the United States, in very developed countries, actually. They think more about the individual or the person, and this person has no contact, let's say, or has his decisions will not affect his family. These people feel responsible of their own decisions in life. So once I take a decision regarding my social life, regarding my jobs, regarding my money, so this decision will affect only me. It will not affect my family. They are much free to decide where to live, which person to marry, and what major to study. So independence and freedom are valued over group solidarity. If you do something wrong, you feel guilty toward yourself and how it will affect your character, not what the others will say about you. In these societies, there will be nothing like الناس شو بدها تحكي عنا. No, in these societies where low in individualism and high in collectivism, you will find some statements like الناس شو بدها تحكي عنا. I care about people, and we say عنا because they will not say something about myself but about my family. And something else we have here in this one, I mean the law in individualism, that is for the brothers, they have to live close to each other. For example, you have to get married to your cousin, and so on. Okay. Now let's go ahead to an exercise. We have 3 exercises. So how do you think elections in Jordan expresses the differences between individualism and collectivism? You can think about that. Once we have elections in Jordan, so are you going to vote for the person that you believe in, or you are going to vote for the person from your tribe, or the person that your dad or your cousins tell you to vote for? So think about this. Do you think that al-hijab reflects individualism and collectivism? Explain how. If you wear al-hijab, if you were a girl and you wear al-hijab because of God, because of Islam, or you wear al-hijab because of your society, because it is shameful not to have al-hijab. Okay, the third one, how do you explain شغل مش عيب based on this dimension? Think about it. Once you say شغل مش عيب, it means that you will get a job with that is less than your certifications. Okay, so will you think about yourself or you think about your tribe? Okay. Now, the last dimension is called masculinity versus femininity. This dimension shows how cultures view gender role. Now, what we mean by gender here is to deal with males and females. So we have masculinity and femininity. We will say what is the difference between them or what is the meaning of them. Then we have to see the gender role. What is the difference between sex and gender? Okay, and then we will have an exercise. So masculinity means to value assertiveness, competition, and toughness. They tend to give distinct expectations for men and women. For example, men are expected to work out and earn money, and the women have to take care of their children and homes. Within these cultures, specific gender serves specific jobs. Only women can serve as nurse, only men can serve as lawyers. Okay, once we say masculinity, so there will be expectations. So because of that, we have something like, for example, مرد المرأة لبيتها. Okay, أو آخرة المرأة للمطبخ, for example. So it means that there is no importance to attend universities and to study there. Then, for example, when we have the man has to work out of the home, and the woman has the responsibility to take care of the children. And then some expectations regarding the jobs. So only men can have jobs like عامل الوطن, for example. Only men can work as or something in mechanism, mechaniki. Only women, okay, can work as, for example, teachers at schools or at nurseries or at kindergartens. We don't find here in Jordan any male teacher works in a kindergarten or a nursery. So this is the meaning of masculinity. So I have the value of competition and assertiveness and toughness. So I give like some expectations to the jobs, to the to responsibilities, and so on. Now, once we say femininity, it means modesty, tenderness, and good relations. It collapses the whole distinctions between men and women. So both are responsible to earn money, and both must take care of children and home. It takes the role, I mean femininity, it takes the role to make the equality between men and women, but in بطريقة وسطية. Okay, so you don't have to go like through like it is a war between men and women. No, but everyone has like shared responsibility. Everyone has the same responsibilities and so on. And we can think in the other way, that is, jobs are available for men and women, and men and women can do this, men and women can do that. Okay, let's go ahead now to see what is the difference between sex and gender. So once we say sex, we mean by the biological classification as males or females. So we have girls and boys. So we're talking about some biological features, some biological characteristics regarding the human beings. So it is featured by genetic factors, chromosomes, hormones, and the internal and external organs. So we have girls and boys. This is the meaning of sex. Whereas once we say gender, we mean by social and cultural meaning attached to the notions of maleness and femaleness. We mean by the social characteristics, the cultural characteristics, how to deal with male and how to deal with a female, how to deal with a man, how to deal with a woman. Males and females are sexes, but masculine and feminine are genders. This is the exact difference between them. If you want to get more details, you can read page 48 just to get more details. Okay, now the exercise that I have, based on masculinity and femininity dimension to distinguish between cultures, how do you say the following statements in a masculine society and in a feminine society? We have, for example, الزلمة ما بيبكي. Is it for masculinity or femininity? Pay attention to the point that once we say الزلمة ما بيبكي, so it means that I'm given extra power and extra characteristic for the men rather than for the women. So men are strong than women. So here I'm dealing with masculinity. And once we say المرأة ما إلها غير بيت زوجها, it means or it sounds something weak. So it means that females must only depend on their husbands to get their responsibilities. So where do we get? Is it masculinity or femininity? Again, we have some pictures. You can differentiate between masculinity and femininity between them. Okay, this one is not regarding masculinity and femininity. Okay, we have, for example, these toys. So this toy, because of its color, is it for females or males? And this toy, because it is the car, so is it for male or female? And because of the, I think this is a Spider-Man or not Spider-Man. I don't know what is its name. Then we have to think about this. For this woman, she is, it seems she's a manager. So is it a must for the management to be males or females? We have to think in this. Okay, this is the end of this chapter. I wish you all the luck. Goodbye.